What's going on, guys? It's Colin here for NextGenTactics, and I wanted to start off this video with a quick tip for beginners who are struggling to win gunfights. And I'm going to show you an example right here of an engagement that I had where I come out on top. And this enemy had the drop on me, and he should have won. But what I did was, as soon as I realized that he was looking at me and I was at a disadvantage, I quickly pulled up my sights, and rather than taking the time to adjust my aim with my right thumbstick, I started burst firing. I was disciplined to maintain that burst pattern, and I strafed with my left thumbstick to get on target. And that serves two purposes. I'm fine-tuning my aim to take him down. At the same time, I'm presenting a more challenging target for him. So that's a technique that I use quite often, and I hope that you find it helpful. So if you find that you're not doing that, that's something that you might want to try out, is strafing to adjust your aim while burst firing, and it's something that's really helped me out a lot in my gameplay. So now I want to move on to some defensive gameplay on Nelson Bay. and by defensive, I don't mean campy. I'm actually defending in rush mode. So, you know, this is a fairly straightforward gameplay. Nelson Bay is probably one of the simplest to defend because it's infantry only, with the exception of a quad bike and UAV, but those are pretty easy to take down. You don't actually need engineers on the map. And right here, I know that there's some attackers hanging out on this right-hand flank, so I try and go clear them out, but I fail. And I actually start this game out with the SCAR-L carbine, which isn't the best weapon of choice in this situation, and you'll actually see here, before too long, I'm going to switch it over to the XM8 prototype assault rifle, which is actually my favorite gun in the game. And it's an early unlock within the assault kit, so if you can manage to stick with the assault kit and get through the AEK 971, which, you know, a lot of people do really like that gun. Personally, I'm not a fan of it, but, you know, if you can stick it out and get through the AEK and unlock the XM8 prototype, then I think you'll be very happy with the results. Now, what I'll try and do is maybe make a video on the various kits using the default weapons without any specs, so you guys can get a feeling of how they work and what works well and what doesn't, just to kind of continue on with my Back to Basics series. But with this gameplay, you know, I just wanted to talk about how I like to play defense and some encounters that I've actually had within the last few gaming sessions. And right here you can see I've actually switched to the XM8. Now, this is a weapon with fantastic iron sights, so some of you may be wondering, why do you have a red dot on it? And what I was finding is, because Nelson Bay is a night map, very dark, with the black iron sights against dark backdrops, I was losing a lot of enemies, so the red dot reticle was just helping me out with that. So normally I'd run this gun and take advantage of the great iron sights to use another spec in that slot, as opposed to using any kind of optics at all. But in this situation, where I'm not going to be moving around a lot, I didn't feel I needed the lightweight kit or the grenade upgrade or anything else that I can use in that position. I'm assault, so I don't need extra ammo or extra explosives, and figured, you know, red dot in this situation is probably best so that I stop losing enemies. And right here we're getting flanked and I get shot in the back. Now, in this lobby, you may notice that there are some lower-level players in it, and I was really impressed. These guys clutched it. They took the building down with 2 tickets left, so we actually lose this set of objectives. And in the last few gaming sessions, when the lobbies have been full, I've noticed a lot of low-level players in the games who have been on the objectives like champs. They've been moving up, they've been rushing. It's made for a lot of really fun games. So, you know, I I highly doubt that that the Back to Basics series has anything to do with that, but, you know, I just gotta say that it's really refreshing to see people playing the game aggressively. It makes it more fun all around, I find, for everyone. I mean, even if I'd rather lose against an aggressive team that are pushing the objectives and moving up than win against a team that sits back and makes me, you know, take a half an hour to run them out of tickets. So anyway, hats off to these guys, you know, taking down the MCOM station with 2 tickets left. There was no quit in them, and it was just a really great game. And in that last example, when we lost the MCOM, I had no intention of camping their base, because that's a pretty poor defensive strategy. But my teammates actually called out that they were going to sprint back to the heavy MG and try and clear out some cover, and I just moved a little bit more slowly out of their base and took down a couple of tickets on my way, and eventually they got me. So, you know, what happens is my teammates set up over on the right-hand side, so I just come to have a look around the Bravo objective to see if they're flanking this way, but eventually you'll see that they're actually going going to come in and arm Bravo. I tell my team basically to hang tight over at Alpha. I'll go try and get the disarm by myself, but if I'm not able, then I'm not too concerned about it. You know, one thing that a lot of teams will do, and a mistake they'll make, is that when one objective gets armed, everyone flocks to that objective, and that spreads the defense thin, and quite often attacking teams are able to then split the defense and go arm the other objective and defend them both. And so you don't want that to happen. That's actually a tactic that we will use quite frequently on rush attack, is go arm an objective and arm, you know, the easier objective to take. Hopefully the defensive team will flock to that objective so you can go arm the tougher one and place your attention on defending that until it's destroyed. So, you know, I didn't want that to happen to us here, and now I know that we've lost Bravo, so I just want to flank back in that direction to see if any attackers are coming from that direction, because a really great route is to actually loop in behind the objectives on this map, and it's something that I will do frequently. You know, if I take Alpha first, then I'll go back through the woods to Bravo. If I take Bravo first, vice versa, and just kind of reverse it. And I don't want to push up too much right here without knowing where the attackers are, and I'm just kind of scoping that out. Now, one mistake that you can also make is pushing up too far, and I do make that mistake occasionally. I'll find myself out of position, but you know, I'm always trying to pay attention to the mini-map to see that we do have coverage around the objective. I pick up a quick double here and then get a third guy, and my teammate calls out that he's disarming, so we're in a good spot. And once I'm fairly confident that the flanks are clear, then I'm going to move up and try and set a perimeter up in front of the MCOM station. So right now I'm sitting back behind it. That's not something that I typically like to do, although I do have a really good line of sight to the objective, but with the darkness on the map, it's still possible to sneak around and get by. Now, if you're defending solo in rush mode, there's a couple of things that you should probably think about, and many of you have sent me messages around, you know, how to play as a lone wolf. And what I have done in the past is focused on one objective. Now, if there's one objective on the map that is not in a destructible building, meaning that they have to actually arm it or you know, destroy it with C4, which isn't really a viable solution anymore for the attacking team, then I'll focus my attention on that one and just basically pay attention to the mini-map. And if I see any gaps in coverage from the blue teammates on the minimap, or even, you know, random squad mates, then I'll try and cover those gaps. And right there you'll see that I actually spotted an attacker on the right hand side. Now on Xbox that's pushing the back button. On PS3 I think it's the select button, or maybe I have that backwards, and I'm not 100% sure how to spot on PC, but you know, it's really important that you always spot before you start shooting at a target. And you know, right there you see again, I spot the enemy before I take him down, just in case I lose him, or for some reason he's able to get the jump on me and I lose that gunfight. I've still given that information to my teammates. So right here I'm just kind of hovering out a little bit in front of the objective, and now I see that there's a number of attackers that are spotted on this left hand side. So at this point it's time to push up a little bit, and I do realize that I have squad mates that are still back at Alpha, so I'm able to do this comfortably. If I was playing solo, I wouldn't push this far out of position. And now I realize, you know, things are quiet. I'm checking to make sure no one's flanked behind me, and I'm going to move up again. But you know, it's a balanced approach between pushing up and making sure that you're within sight of the objective. And if one of my teammates gets taken out, he will call that out to me, and I will actually start sprinting back to A. In this case, that doesn't happen. We still have coverage, and I think actually Jay is up on the heavy MG. So we know that we're well covered at this point, and you know, we're just trying to push a defensive perimeter a little bit forward, but we still want to be able to sprint back and disarm it in the case that they get this objective armed. And I should also point out that the spotting function, that's not as much of a factor in hardcore mode, where you don't have the mini-map and it doesn't actually light up the enemy. But I play primarily core mode. Some of you have asked for my thoughts on core versus hardcore, and I just find that the pacing is a little bit too slow for my liking in hardcore mode. And I have actually played some hardcore Rush and Conquest, and you know, I've done alright with it. It's just, I realize that it has a more quote-unquote realistic feel, I guess, where you're moving more slowly and more tactically, but where, you know, I'm trying to play the game to have a little bit of high-paced fun, and I just find that core mode provides that for me. So, you know, that's basically my take on it. Eventually, I think if I run out of things to talk about, perhaps I'll post some hardcore gameplay for you guys, and, you know, I know some of you are looking for it. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that game. Pretty straightforward defense, decent score at the end, and let me know what you thought. I'm going to post some shots shotgun gameplay later on, so I hope you enjoy that also. And that's it for me, guys. Cheers. We'll be talking soon.
Hey guys, we're on Facebook. Check the description of this video for the link to our new Facebook application. Subscribe and get our latest video updates posted right on the wall on your own Facebook page.